by healing past trauma and embracing emotional vulnerability. Join me on a journey to heal childhood wounds and embrace positive masculinity.
If you know that you are supposed to do something, if you have a relationship with God or a higher power, and you know that you are here to do something different, to make a difference, and to have a purpose, right? In my opinion, you fall into the category of being a divine masculine because you are looking to heal, you are looking to change certain family patterns that have occurred. You're looking to be a good dad. You're looking to be a leader. You're looking to be someone that can be upheld within the community, someone that can be a mentor, someone that, people can look up to. You're looking to be a good role model. I might have said that already, but you're also looking to be a good man in your relationships, right? But if we don't realize that there's certain things within us that we need to work on in order to be the best man that we could possibly be, then we're kind of at a loss for how to make the changes that we need to make, or we're kind of at a loss for how it is that I change the way that I see things, the way that I view things, or just the way that I go about my everyday life, right? How do I change how it is that I handle my relationships when I've always been like this? Like I've been like this for as long as I can remember, right? Um, and to that I say, we have to get down to the root. We have to get down to the core reason why it is that we, make the choices that we make, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to talk a little bit about fear of commitment, um, how that plays out, why that plays out. um, and that is tied a lot of times to, like I said, insecure attachments in your childhood will make you fear commitment. Not having the emotional support that you needed will make you fear commitment. Because a lot of those things are rooted and grounded in not feeling safe. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, like when it goes through the wash and all the fluffy, and we clear away all the fluffy terms, basically when we were being raised, we didn't feel safe either in our physical environment, and our emotional environment, and safe with being able to, express our emotions and they be honored. Or, it could be both physically, you may have been physically in a lot of danger depending on what was going on in your childhood. Or you may have felt safe in your surroundings, but you were not safe to be able to express yourself, express your feelings, and they be honored. And then especially for men, we're raised in a society where it's taboo for men to be vulnerable. It's taboo for men to be tapped into their emotions, etc., etc. And that ends up that ends up turning into toxic masculinity, right? Because with that lack of self-esteem, with that lack of control in your childhood, say you were raised in a household where dad was there, but dad was abusive, right? Like imagine having to see another man be abusive or mistreat your mother, and you're a little person, and there's really nothing that you could do about it. Like you have these big, strong emotions and feelings about what it is that's going on, but I don't have the ability to change those things. It can make you feel very out of control. So, how it plays out in your relationships is you have a need to be in control. So you may get in relationships and you may be very controlling. You may get in relationships and you may ghost people. You may get in relationships and you break up with them before they're able to break up with you, right? And that is that need for control, right? That also is a rejection wound, because if we felt rejected in our childhood or just not embraced in the way that we should have been, we're always going to fear rejection. So if we fear rejection, I'm not going to put myself in a position that I'm going to get rejected. So I'm going to leave you before you leave me, right? Or I'm going to be jealous and over controlling, because really at the root of that is my fear of rejection, right? And I've in my experience, the men that I have dealt with, I noticed that they dealt with a lot of women. Now, I'm very emotionally available, right? I'm very like touchy feely, vulnerable, all of those things, right? So if you were raised by someone who wasn't necessarily emotionally available, vulnerable, in touch with her feelings, things of that nature, a female like me could be triggering, right? But a female that isn't truly available, you may gravitate towards that because that's what you're used to. You're used to certain levels of emotional unavailability, right? So that looks like, the guys that deal with uh, me personally, me personally, I realized that a lot of the guys in my past dealt with women that were not available, right? So that looks like being the player type or the type, that looks like Mr. Still Your Girl. You know what I'm saying? That's how I'm gonna say it. That looks like Mr. Still Your Girl, right? So with that, you get involved with women that are not completely emotionally available. And what you may not realize is that you are mirroring the relationship that you had with your mother, because she may not have been emotionally available for whatever reason, right? She did the best that she could, right? um Unless she was blatantly, just yeah, we want package it real pretty today. Like I ain't gonna get too deep in my therapist bag on y'all. We want to package it real pretty today, and we want to say mom did the best that she could with the resources and the tools that she had, right? Because obviously, if she was lacking something, it was because it was something that she didn't receive, right? So we have compassion for mom, but at the same time, we want to be honest and we want to look at the things within our childhood that we did not have, and how that has affected us into our adulthood and the choices that we've made in our adulthood. So if we have a fear of commitment, if we have low self-esteem, but we may not realize it, it may be something very, very deep. So it's kind of subconscious. There can be a need for power, a need to be in control, a very grandiose personality or very grandiose way of viewing ourselves to overcompensate for what it is that we really feel, right? Because like said, that mommy wound, it causes confusion. It causes you to be confused about like what your purpose is in life, right? Um, if dad was villainized to you as a little person, that disrupts your sense of self, because as a man, regardless of whether dad was there or not, you still find your sense of self um in that man that is your father. So if dad was bad, as a child, what we may not realize is that as a child, we're like, okay, well, if dad is bad, then I must be bad. And we actually internalize those things without ever realizing it. But it comes out in our behavior, right? So basically, how to kind of get to the root of whether or not we have a mommy wound or not is to really just be honest about your childhood